Life is worth living as long as there is love in it. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Seema, and I welcome you all to another insightful session on great principles. Joining me in conversation is my very jovial guest of the day, Mrs. Archana Shrivastava, Principal, East Point School, Delhi. We are extremely excited to unveil your journey, and we are looking forward to so much learning today. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It's a complete honor and a pleasure to join you here. Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, without making my guest delay, as I introduce you that you are the jovial educator of the day, so let me tell them that how your journey started. It is said that the imitation is the kind of best compliment, and when you do imitate the person who inspires you and choose the profession that person is doing, there is nothing like that. So, to all my dear viewers, it was ma'am's teacher who inspired her to be a teacher, and look where she is today. She's heading the school. So, tell me, ma'am, how did it all started, and what qualities of your mentor teacher inspired you to become an educator today?
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the question. Ma'am, it is whatever is my journey. I started my schooling from Varanasi in St. Mary's School. Then I went to St. John's School. Then I went to Banaras Hindu University. I was a gold medalist at postgraduate level with MA Economics. But the journey started when I was in school with my one of my teacher, whose name is Teacher Matthews, and I am at all not connected in present time with her, but I am sure wherever she's blessing me, because it was her quality of care and compassion. These were the only two traits that made me what I am today, because these were the two qualities of hers that inspired me so much that I could actually take on to the journey of belief that yes, I can be a teacher, a motivator, a facilitator, and that's why I'm here where I am today. Thank you.
Wonderful. And I think care and compassion, that is something that outweighs all the traits. Because when you get that, there is nothing like, there is not any other thing that you look for. Because when that is there, automatically all other things follow. If you care for children, you're compassionate to them, learning is bound to happen because they're so connected to you, they bond with you. So it's so great to know that that your teacher gave you these traits, and now you're just passing on the legacies and living
Yeah,
by it.
trying to.
So moving ahead in our question is, ma'am, you believe in energy and the magic of laughter. And yes, laughter is magical. I think the best thing any woman can wear is a smile rather than makeup. So when you smile, automatically you attract goodness. So tell me one thing, ma'am. How do we ensure that our children have the kind of skill developed in their lives so that they lead a peaceful and a prosperous life? And how important is a progressive education steeped in values for the future generation? What are your thoughts?
Ma'am, see, it's very important that we all talk about the dynamic world today. But we also need to understand that when we are talking about the dynamics, we need to know that whatever fast-paced world we are moving ahead with, there is something which is known as the deep-rooted Indian culture and values, which needs to be imbibed in the children. And for that, it is very essential that every school has a well defined structure of a curriculum which makes such policies and procedures wherein the children in their everyday life, in whatever activities they are doing, whether they are going to the scientific labs, whether they are going to utter labs, whether they are going to a playground, in any form, in any manner, wherever they are going, they are being taught about the skill. With the same time, they are also talked about the values that is being incorporated. And for this, in our school, the entire year's curriculum that we make and the planner that we make, it has got one of the parameters which incorporates and says that by doing such an activity, which value you are incorporating in the child, and that is embedded in our curriculum. So there is nothing special that we do, we just embed it in our curriculum, and every teacher ensures that when we are doing it, the value is imbibed in the children. And I firmly believe that when we do such a thing, with the keeping our deep Indian values in mind, the child is bound to be happy. And there is no learning better than being happy. If you are content, if you are happy, there is no much better achievement a teacher or a child can achieve in life. So happiness is one such thing which every school must imbibe in their curriculum, and that is possible with a well defined structure, which I am proudly saying that we have it in East Point School.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think each one of us, be a parent or, a teachers or any one of us, we all want one end thing that ultimately our children should be happy in their life. And you rightly said that there is nothing beyond happiness. So, and I really love the way that you have imbibed the curriculum, imbibed the values in the curriculum, because values cannot be taught in one day. It has
Of
to be
course.
a routine process. And, there couldn't be anything better way than this, that just inculcate in the curriculum so that it is imbibed throughout. And the children, it has a cumulative effect. Every day when the children is learning about it, they automatically start believing it, and this is how the value is passed on. So I think this is a wonderful takeaway for all the school leaders out there. This is the best way to teach values to the children, to just have it in in your routine curriculum also. So great
One more thing I would
thing.
like to just add, ma'am, here. Sorry to interrupt you. Just one more thing I would like to say, that the children, the minds of the children are like the emotional, piggy bank. And if you every day, on an everyday basis, if you keep on putting something or the other, the good in that, slowly and gradually the process of mind change making happens, and that is what we believe in our school. Yeah.
Absolutely, ma'am. They are like the raw, absolutely raw children are just raw, plain book. So whatever you are putting in gradually, it sums up all and it builds the character of the person. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
completely agree with you, ma'am. And,
Yeah.
this is how it should be done. Even we
Yes.
as parents have this responsibility to take that bit and bit every day so that the cumulative effect is automatically seen in the child's living. So
Yeah.
wonderful to know about the strategy of inculcating values in curriculum. I really loved it, and I think this is a must in each and every school. So moving ahead in our conversation, as all of you can view, so many awards are following ma'am behind her, and she has already written a lot of success stories in her life and achieving amazing results for her school too. So tell me, ma'am, why should an educator keep on innovating learning strategies that have a broader and a wider outlook and impact on learners, which ultimately bring laurels to the school and to the life of teacher and learners also?
Ma'am, as I told earlier, also, again, I would like to reiterate and I would like to add on, is that unless and until, there is innovation, there is more and more adding of out of the box thinking, there is more and more addition of something new into the curriculum and the activities on a daily basis, no school can achieve a result as desired. Now, if suppose, for example, I would like to tell that if we want to achieve a good result, now there is a methodology to it. Now, anyone would say, the traditional approach would say that let the children cram. There are certain possible questions which are always asked in the exams and things like that. But this is not the way we are creating a learning culture in the school. If we really want to create a learning culture in the school, it is extremely essential that there is an innovative pedagogy, the teaching learning pedagogy that is designed in the school is drafted in a manner which leads to the actual learning of the children. And this is only possible when the hands on experience and the experiential learning is given to a child to do it on its own. And I'm very proud to say that in our school, the children in their adult tinkering lab, they have devised such projects and apps wherein the parents, by sitting at their offices, can actually locate what the children are doing at home. They have devised smart dustbins. They have even tried to help our gardeners in the school ground, that instead of the pipes and the sprinklers by throwing the water in the ground, what apps can be developed so that the water is automatically, the ground is watered automatically. So these are certain innovations and inventions which the children are doing in our school. And I'm very proud to say that in Atal tinkering lab and the tinkership competition that we had, we actually achieved many laurels in the school. So when you have a broad outlook and learner approach, that is very, very essential. You cannot be in a watertight compartment and then go ahead with some innovative practices. That is practically not possible. So it is very essential that not only the students but the teachers are also given the adequate opportunity so that they can explore, learn, unlearn, and relearn, because the dynamics that were applicable 20 years back is not applicable as of now. The education is changing every minute, so we need to upgrade ourselves, and that is why the innovative pedagogy is very essential, for which our school is making every effort to incorporate such innovations in the daily lesson plan so that the actual teaching learning happens in the classroom situation. Thank you.
Absolutely, ma'am. This is something that which is very much needed. What every company is looking today, they're looking for creative thinking, out of the box thinking. They because for every problem today we have an application. So how do you make application simplified? How do you make it better? How do you realize that a certain thing is a problem? Like if we talk about Ola, you and I never thought that calling a taxi was a problem, but today we cannot survive without it. So this kind
Survive
of
it.
thinking so this kind of thinking is built at school level when children are practicing that regularly. So they are themselves finding out the solutions, and our children are creative. But when we compartmentalize the education, we set compartments, and this is what you have to do. That is where the entire creativity is killed, and then we call that schools are creative, killing the creativity. So you rightly said that if you do not innovate, you will never achieve the learner outcome. So I think the school is doing every bit of it to be the perfect school to bring out the best learning experience, and I think this is what is needed to be just replicated in all the schools out there. And if this happens, learning automatically happens, and the child also enjoys, he understands the application of knowledge, which we all talk about. We say that "Arey, theory hota hai hamesha," but it's not like that. When we apply it, so they are understanding the results. So ma'am, I congratulate you for having such wonderful things happening at the school, and that giving such a beautiful experience to the children. I wish that it was there for us too. So today we were
Thank you.
yes. So we move to a very interesting segment of the show, which is called rapid fire round. So ma'am, you have to answer me in one word or a sentence.
Okay.
Okay. So here I go about my very first question. How do you spend your recreational time?
Most of my time is spent in gardening because I have a very big terrace garden. So my most of the time is whenever I am free, I spend my time in gardening and I talk to my plants, and I love it.
Okay. So talking about gardening, tell me, why should every parent think of having a pet or a plant in the house?
That will definitely lead to the development of the value of sensitivity, sensitization, and care and compassion. The most important thing is empathy, which you can only develop once you have pets and your plants around.
So, to all my dear parents, ensure that at least you have one of the either things, a pet or a plant, so that the empathy is naturally developed in the children, observing you doing the similar kind of care for the plants also. So, moving ahead to my next question, you fancy the art form of drawing and designing, is it right?
Yeah.
So, can
I'm
we can
not.
we see anything from you?
Ma'am,
Any of
I
your
am.
drawings?
No, I really wish to, do that, but I'm not very good at drawing. But my one of my, thing which I still want to learn is to draw and paint, which is still in the pipeline, and I never give up. So I will definitely do it.
So, I'm sure that very soon we'll be able to see some of the
Yeah,
great creatives made by ma'am, right?
yeah,
All
I'll
right.
definitely try.
So moving ahead to my next question, which is your favorite cuisine?
Ma'am, I am a hardcore non-vegetarian, so my favorite cuisine is butter chicken.
All right. And you love cooking also?
I love cooking, and I can proudly say that I cook one of the best butter chickens.
Wonderful. So any tip for our parents, how can they plan their child's tiffin, which is nutritious and also, tasty to eat?
Yeah, ma'am. For that, we have one concept in our school which is known as Fantastic Fridays, wherein we encourage every parent in the school to get one special vegetable or a fruit on Fridays, which the children bring to the school, and we award the children with a smiley. So that is how we do. Otherwise, we keep on conducting regular sessions with the parents along with our class teachers, so that they guide the parent on the nutritional value.
Wonderful. So moving ahead to my next question. Tell us about a funny or a weird incident in your life.
There had been many funny and weird incidents in my life, but one of them which I remember is because I am from the education industry. So I'll remember that one of my when I was a teacher, I was taking classes 11, 12 economics. So there was one child in my school, and I was the senior coordinator in that school. So one of my child, I'll not name that child, but one of my child, one day he was a late comer to the school every day. So once I saw that child climbing the wall of the school and coming to the school, because the guards did not allow him to enter through the gate. So once then when I saw, I called him and I asked him, beta, you are not supposed to do that, and I have to take a disciplinary action against you. And that child was a very versatile child. So he was even selected for a cultural exchange program for Russia. So he was supposed to go to Russia at that time. So I told that because you have jumped the wall today and you have broken the school discipline, and because you have going to Russia, you were the role model for so many. So I will not allow you now to go to Russia, and your program will be suspended and you will not go. So that, it is that age of the child where the children are very fragile, they are very impatient and things like that. So what he did was that it is a very funny incident, and that child still remains in my same colony where I reside, and we whenever we meet, we recall this incident, and we laugh too much. So what he did was that while he was going up, back from the school during the dispersal time, he my car was parked outside. Every teacher's car was parked outside the school. So what he did, that he punctured my car, and he took a and he told guard ki batana mat madam ko, because I'm because ma'am has cancelled my Russia visit, and I will not allow ma'am to go home today. So that was one of the most weird, funny, and I could not even name it what type of an incident, but that child is still is one of my favorite child. Then we called his parents and we convinced and we sent the child, and today the child is well placed in a media industry, and he's doing very good for himself. And we often meet and we recall this incident and we laugh at like cats and dogs.
Great. These are the small, small, kind of anecdotes of our life which always bring us back those beautiful memories that
Definitely.
how children can be such creative and yet they find a solution for everything. Just give them the
Everything.
way. Yeah.
Exactly.
So moving ahead to my last question in this segment, if you were supposed to bring about a change in our education system, what would be that change that you would like to bring? Just one change if you were given the opportunity.
Ma'am, the only change that I would want to is that I really, although it's a very, a program which will require the change in the mindset of the people, which will take a very, very long time. But what I feel is that we every time talk about experiential learning, we talk about learning by doing, we talk about every, innovations and inventions. But when it comes to the actual performance of the child, we ultimately, as educators, only look to the report card of the child. So, and that is the parameter on which we judge the child. We do not see that how good a child, a painter is, the musician is, or the drummer, what not. But we ultimately, the society or wherever a child is going for an interview, he is only judged on the first mark sheet that he presents. So that mindset needs to be changed, for which I believe that more and more sessions, trainings, and from platforms like you, we can really, bringing educators together, we can really do that, because this is one of the very, very core important thing that we need to do, that the children should not be judged on the piece of paper or the mark sheet that they are being produced. So that is the change in the mindset, which will take a long time to do.
It will, but I think little bit that wave have already started. People
It
have
started.
started thinking beyond the marks now because that is the reason we are enrolling our children into so many different kind of activities. Otherwise, it was all about the tuition classes that the
Exactly.
children were going. So, they were just studying in the school and coming home, attending so many tuitions. So now people are thinking more of developing skills. Even in schools, there is more focus on different kind of activities rather than just academics only.
Exactly.
So I hope that this change come. It is very much needed, ma'am. And I there are so many success stories of the business
Of
houses, business
course.
tycoons today.
Yeah.
Those who actually failed in their school or they were just dropped out. So these kind of stories I think would be a great inspiration for all of us to change our mindset. Let's see how you and me can create this difference.
Definitely.
So, on this lovely note of creating a difference, we have reached to the last question of the show. This is called Viewer's Choice Question. So, my viewers say that pre and post pandemic, we have observed a lot of stress in our youth and parents. Performance in academics and peer parents' pressure has caused more grief than good. Educators also face the burnout of the social evil depression. One or two counselors preschool are not adequate to handle a multitude of students. So they ask me that should educators be trained in the art of counseling also? Is that required? What do you think?
Definitely, ma'am, this is the need of the hour. And when we talk about health, if we nowadays mental health is the topmost priority. And when we talk about educators being the psychologists and the counselors, I think that should be one of the prerequisite and the foremost requirement of any educator in the present context, because every teacher, every educator, even for that matter, ma'am, when I talk about a school campus, in that every person, whether that person belongs to the admin department, to the support staff department, to the transport department, anywhere and everywhere, each and every person in the school who is accountable for the children must be a person who is actually having a thought process wherein they are able to sensitize and understand the children, because it is extremely essential. And especially after pandemic, where the world has really been toppled upside down, there has been an absolute somersault. So it is very very important that everybody gives a patient hearing to the child, because 90% of the problems get solved just when we hear or listen to the children. So it is very very essential, not only for the children, for the adults as well, that we listen, we give a patient hearing to each and everybody. And psychology being one of the most talked about subject is there today, and we need to have every person having some sort of a grip over the counseling and the issues dealing with the psychological behavior of the child. So it should be, in my opinion, the top most priority or a requisite for appointing an educator in any school.
Agree with you, ma'am. But there is one thing which is there in my mind now. I am also a parent, and howsoever I talk about that, no, I have to listen to my child patiently. Somewhere I lose my cool and I just, yell at them. And it happens. I mean, we are also humans, and I can't imagine teachers. They have so many kids to deal with, and so much we expect from a teacher that she should do this also, she should do that also. So, I mean, how does a teacher maintain her cool? How does she keep her, her stress at home and then just focus on these children? What would be your guidance for our dear teachers out there?
Ma'am, I would like to say one thing here. I'll just share with you later on. Uh, few months back, not few months back, last year probably, I wrote one article in Times of India, and my article was totally dedicated to teachers, wherein I had written that teachers are the magicians, and the magicians do not hoot, they never shout, they never cry, and they perform everything what is assigned to them. And somewhere down the line, ma'am, I believe that the teachers are inbuilt, inborn with that special trait and a quality wherein they are being told, taught, and they are themselves nurturing themselves in a manner wherein they are able to manage in a period of 40 minutes 40 students in one go, ensuring that learning is happening simultaneously to each and every child. But what I want to tell here is that, ma'am, for this, it's not an easy job for the teachers. Teachers are trained, teachers are guided, teachers are at times, taken to the task also. And with every possible manner, it is made mandatory for the teachers to perform the duties and the things that are assigned to them in a manner wherein the ultimate aim of benefiting the child at large is not neglected at any point of time. And I'm very proud to say that maximum number of students in our school, and almost 99.9% of the teachers in our school are able to do so. But On the other hand, ma'am, the parents also need to understand that the teachers are also human beings. If there is a possibility of a human error while checking the notebooks, while pronouncing a certain word, or while interacting with the child, there might be certain things which happen, but it is never done with an intention. If something goes wrong, it is never done with an intention. It is always that the teachers have a pure and a good intention at their heart. It is sometimes the situation is like that, wherein we get to be, emotional, or we get traumatized for that particular situation. But it is never that the intention of the teacher can go wrong. And wherever it is, if god forbid, it has never happened in my life, but if at all it has happened in the school, ever since, there has been a very, very strict disciplinary action that has been taken. So the parents also need to understand that it is very essential for them as parents to understand the teachers and the school, and we as teachers also need to understand the family background, the parents qualification, education, and at the same time the child's atmosphere in which he is being brought up. So when these two collaborate and work together in coordination, I don't think that there can be any way wherein the teachers and the parents cannot, work together for a greater cause of bringing the child to a desired level. Because in our school, ma'am, parents are called as partners in education. So we really believe that with partners in education, we can make a difference, and that is quite possible.
Absolutely, ma'am, I think this is the major thing. We need to partner and understand that ultimately we all are humans and this kind of errors are possible. And pandemic did taught a very good lesson to all our parents out there, and including myself. We have seen how teacher was even, in online education, she was managing these kids, and we were not even able to manage the two at our place. So yes, we all need to duly respect our teachers for whatever minute errors if does happen. It is not intentional, never intentional, as ma'am mentioned. So to all my dear parents, we both, the teacher and the school and the parent partnership, when all of us work jointly, then only something good can happen. So rather than criticizing each other, let us just support and look forward for a greater cause, as ma'am mentioned. So ma'am, thank you so much for the wonderful thoughts that you have shared on the platform today. And I hope the way you are creating the happy place at your school, I'm sure that with this kind of experience, each one of us would be really focused on creating the generation of happy children, and ultimately leading up to the happy and joyful nation also. So ma'am, I would like to thank you for giving us an opportunity to hearing you out, sharing your thoughts for so that greater people can be at advantage of listening you. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a pleasure being with you and at this platform. Thank you so much.